I'd like to welcome everyone to the Rossbrook House virtual annual community meeting. But first, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory at the crossroads of the Anishinaabe, Métis, Cree, Dakota, and Oche-Cree nations, and on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe peoples and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Now I'd like to take a moment to recognize the great sorrow across the land as we acknowledge the truths of the residential school's legacy in the country and the discovery of 215 children's graves in Kamloops and 751 unmarked graves in Saskatchewan. By no means will these be the only discoveries in the country. Our hearts go out to all the generations of Indigenous peoples and their families living in the wake of such horror. We pledge our solidarity to the cause of justice and an end to systemic racism and inequity in our country. We continue practicing the routines of the pandemic: restrictions, masks, hand sanitizer, cancellations, closures, and Zoom. What has changed is vaccinations are available and there is now light shining on the horizon. The pandemic has accentuated the systemic inequalities on the planet and in our city, but it has also uncovered deeper reserves of creativity and generosity in all of us. Empathy for each other has us reaching out as we do during a flood. We have become deeply conscious of the essential needs of each other for food, shelter, and safe places to be. Sandbags have become food hampers and donations. When the call came from Rossbrook House to help us keep the doors open 24 hours, your response was immediate and dramatic. You were quick to offer support, as were our good friends at United Way Winnipeg and the Winnipeg Foundation. We also gained a new partnership with End Homelessness Winnipeg, who made our continuing overnight shifts possible by directing federal Reaching Home funds our way. You helped us provide thousands of hot meals and hundreds of warm sleep for those in need. We also continued to adapt and provide programming so the children and youth coming to Rossbrook House could safely continue to belong, play, learn, and become. Even through the Code Red period, we managed to hold activities like an online session with the St. Boniface Youth BioLab that delivered lab equipment for the kids beforehand, as well as providing supper for everyone in the building. The drop-in doors were open continuously, and with the adoption of iPads and laptops, there were still activities that allowed kids to continue learning. As well, new computer terminals and boosted Wi-Fi allowed older youth to connect to their email and social media and even online classes. As with the summer, Christmas was not canceled at Rossbrook House. There was plenty of seasonal food provided by the Sons and Daughters of Italy, Westworth United Church's annual turkey dinner donation, and many other thoughtful gifts. There were lots of presents donated and funds to custom purchase for the kids. Our Learning Always staff created a wonderfully physically distant event for our participants and their families. They got to choose presents and bring home a variety of seasonal foods and treats. In February, Rossbrook House staff were included as essential workers for early vaccination as part of the 24/7 Safe Space Emergency Shelters Network. Staff have worked heroically over the last year and have adapted to stressful situations that have sometimes left them depleted. As we moved out of the cold weather and back into focusing on our regular age groups and hours, there is a natural calm and an opportunity to rest before our staff gear up for an active summer. I will end with a quote by John Lennon. It succinctly captures endurance, perspective, and hope. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Until then, we will keep our doors open. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, everyone. We on the Board of Directors continue to be honored to have the opportunity to work with the children and youth and families who come to Rossbrook House. We're guided, as always, by the words of Sister Geraldine McNamara's vision. No child who does not want to be alone should ever have to be. And the mission of Rossbrook House, to provide a safe place for children and youth to belong, play, learn, and become. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has challenged us in many ways, as Phil Chiappetta has outlined in his report. Activities have had to be modified, postponed, or canceled. Other activities, including our board and committee meetings, migrated to Zoom, and like much of the world, our board work was done while looking at each other on screen. Some things just couldn't quite be done the way we wanted them to be on Zoom. For example, much planning had already been done for our No Child Alone dinner that we were hoping to have this past January. Like many other events, that has had to be put off. As always, our staff and attenders are coming up with innovative ways to stay open and to serve our community. The work of the staff has been nothing short of amazing. I want to take this opportunity to thank Patty Manville, a member of the Board of Directors who has stepped down this year. As well, I want to welcome Todd Mondor and Colleen Samard, former board members who came back onto the board, and Rachel Sansergut, who is coming onto the board at this annual meeting. As I finish my term as president, I want to express my thanks to the board and staff for all the work they have done over the past 3 years. I remain grateful for the generous support of our many funders. These include individuals, organizations, businesses, labor groups, church groups, sports groups, and our 3 sustaining funders, the City of Winnipeg, the Province of Manitoba, and the United Way. Thank you to you all.
My name is Brenda Hasiuk, and it's my privilege to be able to say a few words as incoming president of Rossbrook House. Mostly I feel humble about it. For COVID, for me this year, has mostly meant working from home, and which has been convenient and easily done for me. Whereas I know that for the staff, especially at Rossbrook, this has meant an incredibly challenging year, stepping up to the plate in ways they've never had to before, thinking outside the box, being there for folks at an unprecedented time. And I just being there for people who had nowhere else to go during this crisis. And it's been stressful and tiring, and I just want to express my thanks to the Rossbrook staff for being there and stepping up the way they did. I know also for most of our participants, it's been an incredibly challenging year, mostly because our programming was changed, and so many kids lost out on all the fun and the friends and opportunity that Rossbrook usually is able to deliver. And so I feel right now, at this date and time, that we're truly at the light at the end of the tunnel. I do feel that by September we're going to be moving forward through the pandemic and at a different place, which gives me great hope. But I also feel this month and at this time that I'm very aware of some of the conversations going on about the tragedy at residential schools, and that so many of our participants have personal and lived history with that experience. And I guess I just look forward to the next couple years of carrying on that legacy of reconciliation that Sister Mac started more than 40 years ago, and really looking to recommit ourselves and to make sure that Rossbrook is playing the role that it always has, and fulfills its potential to play that role. And so that it fills me with a sense of responsibility and a sense of hope that we can continue that work with our participants and our staff and our amazing volunteers. And it's also my privilege to just read you a list of the folks that are involved in the kind of the overseeing Rossbrook House in a volunteer capacity, our board of directors. So the last year, and the last 3 years actually, our president has been Dennis Bracken. He kindly stepped up and during this crazy year agreed to serve another year, and I appreciate Dennis for that. And he will be moving on to the position of past president. Our past president, Leslie Galloway, is going to stay involved, thank goodness, because she's always such a tremendous mentor to us all. Our treasurer, Gil Granray, who managed to, wow, he creates financials that I can understand, and for that I'm eternally grateful, and I don't know what we would do without him. And our secretary, Karen Cook, who has agreed to move into the role of vice president next year, and that is just great news for our organization. I also want to acknowledge the service of the following people over the last year: John Burchell, Melissa Dvorak, Sister Michelle Gerlinski, Scott Haley, Janine Hargraves, Gabriella Zapperzan, Todd Mondor, Colleen Samard, and Pat Mainville, who has resigned this year because she's just such a busy gal. But I just want to remind her that Todd and Colleen both also had to leave for a bit, and now they're back. And as we all know, you never really leave Rossbrook, especially you, Patty. So we're sorry to see you go. We thank you for all that you've done, and we know that maybe we'll see you back one day. So thank you all very much, and I'm really excited and looking forward to the next couple of years here at Rossbrook. Thanks.
I'm going to review at a high level the financial results for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2021. This past fiscal year, Rossbrook House, as all other charities, had to deal with the challenging COVID environment. Several changes in our programming occurred this year due to COVID regulation. In addition to these program changes, Rossbrook House decided to open 24 hours a day for the majority of the year, compared to the usual 24 hours every weekend and during school holidays during the past year. The annual programming and administrative costs for Rossbrook House were approximately $1.6 million, down slightly from the previous year due to COVID postponed programming. In addition to the programming costs, Rossbrook House incurred $115,000 of COVID-related expenses this year and $15,000 last year. These incremental costs were offset by $130,000 of various COVID grants received this year. Our continued support from our generous long-term funders, the province, the city, and United Way, contributed to covering 50% of our programming administrative costs, or $902,000, compared to 54% the previous year. As Rossbrook House Foundation continues to grow and establish strong community ties, Rossbrook House continues to receive direct donations from individuals, business, private foundations, and other organizations. This past year, we were able to raise $475,000 compared to $483,000 the previous fiscal year. We will continue to see a decline in donations directly to Rossbrook House as donations get directed towards the foundation. After accounting for the sustaining funding from the province, the city, and United Way of $902,000 and various donations of $474,000, Rossbrook House incurred a shortfall in sustained funding of $114,000 compared to $271,000 shortfall the previous year. Rossbrook House Foundation contributed $11,000 compared to $213,000 the previous year in order to ensure Rossbrook House had sufficient cash balances to satisfy its commitments and obligations this year. The foundation is always there for us, but we choose to rely on it only when necessary. The foundation objective is to continue to develop a long-term source of income for Rossbrook House by fundraising, investing major gifts and legacy bequests received, and growing those funds. These funds will allow Rossbrook House to continue to add to new programming and to tackle on new adventures. For more details about the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2021, audited financial statements are available upon request. I would like to thank Bridget Cabral, the Director of Finance Administration, for her assistance and support. It makes my role much easier as the Chair of the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Rossbrook's second annual community report. I'm Jane Quinton, and I'm proud to serve as board chair of the Rossbrook House Foundation. The foundation was created in 2006 to financially assist Rossbrook House in conducting its programs and operations. The foundation's main goal is to raise funds for the programs and services provided by Rossbrook House for the present and future generations of children and youth. Gifts made to the foundation go directly to support the day-to-day activities and programs for Rossbrook House participants. We couldn't provide all the smiles without your help, and we are so very grateful for the support our generous donors have provided. Your support has been instrumental in keeping the doors open at Rossbrook House 365 days of the year and 24 hours a day on school holidays and weekends. The foundation serves to help Sister McNamara's mission and that of Rossbrook House, that no child who does not want to be alone should ever have to be. Rossbrook House Foundation provides supporters of Rossbrook's mission with many ways to make financial contributions, including monthly giving, one-time gifts, bequests, and more. These gifts go directly to supporting the day-to-day activities and programs for Rossbrook House participants. The foundation started 2020 and 2021 optimistically planning a men's luncheon and no child alone dinner to celebrate and raise funds in support of Rossbrook House. Unfortunately, neither of these events were able to occur due to the ongoing pandemic and public health restrictions. However, while the doors may have shut on these events, the doors at Rossbrook House were fortunately able to remain open. There are smiles behind the masks at Rossbrook House, and we can't wait to resume our usual programming when it's safe to do so. Summer is not canceled at Rossbrook House. The foundation board is hard at work ensuring children and youth living in the inner city of Winnipeg continue to have a safe place to belong, learn, play, and become. Thanks for watching and all that you do for the children and youth of Rossbrook House. Have a safe and happy summer.
It's my privilege, my honor to be giving out service awards to 4 staff members at Rossbrook House. They've all crossed a milestone of years of service. We have 3 with 5 years service and 1 with 10 years service at Rossbrook House. These staff are the heart and soul of the place. And we just want to recognize the great accomplishment of their daily work and how it's amounted to so many years now. The first on my list is Sherry Rasmussen. She's our communications manager. And Sherry came to us through a route where she was helping us out many years ago, producing a film about Rossbrook House when she worked at APTN, and then joined our board of directors, and then became our communications officer and grew into that position in such a dramatic way and has done just fantastic things promoting Rossbrook to the wider community. And of course, our social media is so vibrant, and that's all because of Sherry. And she's just a really great person, and she's quite an asset to Rossbrook House. And she crossed her threshold of 5 years back in January. So we just thank you so much for your service, Sherry, and you'll be presented with that Tim Hortons card very shortly. The next on our list, another 5 years. Can't believe it's been 5 years because Sheila Chipistance worked at Weewabaganese School as a teaching assistant for 30 years and then retired, and found that she still had boundless energy and started volunteering at Rossbrook House, and that just moved into a formal job. And she's the coordinator of our volunteers, but she's also the leader of the Learning Always After School program, a fantastic program. And Sheila's just done so much. She fills in so many areas here. She connects with families. She is really, during the pandemic, being just fantastic about connecting some of our donors who are giving hampers to families in the community. And she's just a wonderful person. And Sheila will be getting her Tim Hortons Award the next time I see her. And now we have another 5-year award, and that goes to Dylan Marsden. And Dylan just still seems such a young guy to me, but he's been here for 5 years. And Dylan, his incredible commitment, a really unsung hero, because he worked through the heart of the pandemic on night shifts all the time. So he toiled during those wee hours. Those were the ones that Sister McNamara in the early days just said, wow, how could Rossbrook be Rossbrook without these young people working those late night hours? And Dylan's done a tremendous job for us. Like I said, an unsung hero, but I will sing to him when I give him his Tim Hortons card. And now we have a 10-year service award, and that will be presented to Joni Giebosh. And Joni has been with Rossbrook House seemingly, I remember her when she was just a young child coming here, participating in all our different programs, grew into a fantastic junior staff member, served in so many ways as an activity coordinator, as a program coordinator, but in recent years, working in our healthy kitchen and coordinating that food. And obviously during the pandemic, that has been a mainstay in terms of us providing essential needs to just a growing population who really needed it during the pandemic. And Joni made coming to Rossbrook House like coming home. Her beautiful meals and the way she presents them, and the work she does connecting with the people who are here is just fantastic. And so Joni, 10 years, we just appreciate you so much. So these staff, fantastic reasons why Rossbrook House is successful and connects so well with the community. They're tremendous people, all of them, and wish them the very best. And of course, I'll be seeing them all with their actual awards card.
Richie!